sacrifices. A nation is sustained through the service and sacrifice of patriots. Each of you is part of the long, unbroken chain of courageous Americans who have answered the call in every generation, defending our families, our freedoms, and our great American flag, which we love, right? You are the backbone of our liberty. You are the protectors of our community. And you are the proud beating heart of our magnificent nation. I want to welcome the many members of Congress who are with us and joined us today to cheer on these incredible, brave warriors and give special recognition to members of my cabinet who are with us. Secretary Zinke, where's Ryan? Ryan, stand up. Sit down. Thank you, Ryan. Secretary DeVos, Betsy, thank you. And Acting Secretary Robert Wilkie, who is doing a great job over at the VA, I can tell you that. Thank you. And a great friend of mine and a woman who I'm getting reports from everybody who's doing well, who's doing, I always ask, who's doing the best? And always right near the top or at the top is Linda McMahon. Thank you, Linda. Great job you're doing. Thank you very much. And Bill, Senator, please stand up. And Congress, Bill, stand up, please. A lot of good congressmen. My friends, there's a brave one. These guys, and they fight for you. They fight for you. You fought for them, they fight for you. That I can tell you, especially this group. Thank you, Bill. Thanks, everyone. We also want to thank our really amazing, these are amazing people, the military spouses and families. Could the families and spouses please stand up? Incredible people. Incredible people. Their love and dedication and support is really the foundation of our military might. We give them a lot of credit, right? So I especially want to thank Mike Lymington and everyone at the Wounded Warrior Project. Thank you, Mike, and Mike has done an incredible job. Mike spent 35 years leading soldiers as an infantry soldier, reaching the rank of lieutenant general. And I know Mike agrees that there is no more important job than supporting the warriors who have fought and bled to keep us free. So I want to thank you very much. We all want to thank you. That's why we are fighting to reform the VA. And that is why we signed VA accountability legislation into law. I want to thank you folks because they've been trying to get that through for over 30 years. Accountability. We want accountability. They don't treat our vets good. We want them out. And that's what we can do now. We couldn't do it before. That was a tough one to get through, but we got it through. And now we're going for choice, and we're going to get choice. And that's another one that I've wanted right from the beginning, and we'll get that done too. So I'm so happy with accountability. It's been working on so long. We have people that were terrible working there, and they're gone. And before, we couldn't do anything about them. But we're very happy, and we're going to have the finest choice program that you've ever seen. In fact, we turned down one program because we truly didn't think it was good enough. Is that right? We could have gotten it passed, and I said, nope, not good enough. We're going to go for the real deal. So we're going to have choice. There's no more waiting on lines for 12 weeks, and you can't get the doctors, you can't get what you need. So we're going to have choice. It's going to be a really good one, and these folks are going to be responsible for it. So I want to thank you all. This month marks the 4th anniversary of the Phoenix VA scandal, horrible scandal. And we must make sure that this kind of tragedy never, ever happens again. We must always protect those who protect us. The heroes in this room today come from every background and every single walk of life. But they are united by the sacred bonds of duty and loyalty that hold us together as one nation under God. Your devotion, your endurance, and your unbreakable will are all a great inspiration to every single American. Each of you has endured life-changing injuries. Each of you has conquered adversity with resolve, never giving in, never giving up, and never, ever backing down. Have you ever given in, anybody here? I don't think so, huh? This is not a stage of those that gave in. Is that right? Would you say? Do we have any giver-inners? I don't think so. They don't know what those words mean. They don't know. They are winners. As the nation and all nations watch you ride today, they will see the fighting warrior spirit that thrives in your souls. And by the way, our military, recent budget, General Mattis asking, $700 billion. Never happened before. And next year, we don't even talk about it, already approved, $716 billion. So that's really something. That's what we had to get. That was number one on our list, even though we had to approve a couple of things that we weren't so happy with because of some folks that are not friendly to our military. $700 billion and $716 million and $6 million for opioid. We're going to fight that opioid situation harder than anyone's fought it before. We've already begun. But $6 billion for opioid and stopping that scourge, and also for working with those that have unfortunately met with the opioids in a very bad fashion. So we're going to spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, and now we have the money. So thank you all, fellas. That's great. With that, we will be able to see you through that brave example that our nation can defeat any hardship, meet any challenge, beat any setback, and rise from our trials stronger and more determined by far than ever before. Our military will be stronger, more powerful than at any time ever before. Better equipment. We make the greatest equipment in the world. It also means jobs. By the way, far secondarily, jobs. Jobs are a benefit, but that's far secondarily. One warrior with us today is someone I first met years ago. His name is Dan Nivens, and his incredible story embodies the long journey of recovery and triumph that each of you represents so beautifully. Each of you just represent it beyond what anybody can do. It's incredible. Dan served as an infantry squad leader of Task Force Tacoma in Iraq in 2004. While on combat mission, his vehicle was struck by a roadside bomb. Dan was severely injured, ultimately losing both legs. Through countless surgeries, Dan refused to give in. He is a fighter and he is a champion. And the Wounded Warrior Project was there to help Dan along his difficult journey where he's had such tremendous success. Dan is now a nationally recognized motivational speaker and works to serve other veterans and their families. I also know from personal experience that Dan is a great golfer. How do you think that makes me feel? Huh? He really is. He's a really good golfer. All right? So Dan, I want to thank you for everything. You're really an inspiration, everything you've done and will continue to do for our beloved nation. We love this nation. We're in your debt, and we are in the eternal debt of every single person on this stage. The Wounded Warriors, these are our most incredible people, our most incredible people. as you set out on your soldier ride, all of America will be cheering you on and watching. And all of America will be celebrating your strength and your tenacity and your unwavering love of your country. My pledge to you, our noble warriors, is that my administration will support you and your loved ones and your amazing families every single day, now and always. Never going to forget. That is our sacred commitment. As Dan comes to the podium, I want to again thank you all for honoring us with your presence today. Thank you all, and thank you all for the help, everybody. It's tremendous help. This group in particular has been of great help. May God bless you. May God bless our wounded warriors. May God bless our military. And may God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, President Donald Trump speaking to wounded warriors, wounded war veterans in a tone.
I want to finish right there,
honoring them
just for a second, pertaining to the president honoring the Wounded Warrior event after the Veterans Association. I got something that I need to say to my viewers in regard to that. I understand that a lot of people, particularly in this area right here, thinks, well, Juby only come back to criticize or ridicule. Well, you know, sometimes criticism is a good thing. And sometimes ridiculing people is a good thing, especially if what you're criticizing them for and ridiculing them about is where the community didn't do their jobs. And I'm just not talking to the Coopers or the McWrights or the Hayeses or the Bakers or the Willises or the Halls or the Jacobses or the Cobles. I'm talking to the whole general group around here that basically sat back and allowed for somebody that fought in World War II to take advantage of his family and take advantage of his children. You keep in mind that our whole goal here was to open up the St. Del's Recovery Shelter in honor of our military. And I understand that maybe some of the pillars of the community felt like that it wasn't their place to speak up against my father, James Robert Jackson, that had post-traumatic stress syndrome. But that's where professional people come in at. That's where just one little telephone call that could have been made to the right agency and somebody could have put their finger on the problem that was going on down here at Route 2, Sharon, Tennessee at the time. That didn't have postmarks like they do today. I have done a lot of research and a lot of study, a lot of thinking, a lot of praying, a lot of meditating on what type of environment and what type of group of people that I'm dealing with here. And the bottom line is that since the 1811-1812 earthquake that basically fumigated Reelfoot Lake, it made all these people around here very, very superstitious. And even though they mean well as a culture, they're still richly divided in their worship practices, because 99.9% of all the churches around here, other than a few, and you'd have to go into a bigger city to find that, are still very, very consolidated as far as the whites being with the whites, the blacks being with the blacks. And I knew by looking at this, after being out west and being up east and being up north, that this was a different classification of people that I'm dealing with here. And it was based around superstition. And the reason why that they become so superstition was because of the great and mighty earthquake. A matter of fact, I even done a little bit more research as far as going past another state beyond the perimeters of this one, and found that they I don't so much say idolize the Native American people, but they're not ashamed to put their pictures on restaurants, hotels, even banks. You'll find other areas out west that memorialize the Native American people, and they're not ashamed of them. But out here in this little area in between river to river, you won't hardly find that at all. Very, very few restaurants, very, very few hotels, very, very few actually represents what actually, how the fundamentals of all this began. And I don't know if it's because necessarily that they're ashamed of what Jackson done towards running all the Native Americans from the east out to the west, or if it's simply because they're just superstitious. I know this, whenever it comes to a family that had to endure the problems of war, that was scars that was lashed upon to not only my father, but also his brother, J.W. Jackson. I feel like that our family holds right up there with the top ranking as far as making great sacrifices for that war because of having to put up with what we had to put up with during the time that we put up with it. Once more, I understand that I have brought a lot of clarity pertaining to the Coopers, pertaining to the Halls, pertaining to various leaders, pillars of the community around here because they did not do their job as far as criticizing those. But don't you think it was well deserved? Especially whenever you're talking about a person that didn't just lose his temper once in a while, but lost his temper all the time. Whenever you're talking about a person that the general public around here was scared of to the point of giving him a nickname of the name of Grizzly. I feel like that our family was neglected in the areas towards the general public taking care of us. Especially whenever I come back 4 years ago, and once more there was another raving lunatic that was loose towards wanting to bring despair and agony and torture and torment and horror into our lives, David and my lives, and there was no one around that was willing to stand up and say, wait a minute, what's going on over there is not right. It's inappropriate. It's wrong. There was only one family that done that in this area that I can recognize. Derek Coble did speak up to some extent, but once more, he was in jeopardy of his own job. And then there was May Sweat, that is now a Norman, and Jimmy Norton that spoke up and said, well, it's pretty obvious what's going on here. Mr. Donald Ridgeway has lost his mind, and he's out to terrorize and torment either Juby or David or both. And even after David died, I thought that maybe it would reside and go away. But no, it even intensified. I mean, less than a week ago, I met the man on the road, and you know what I got? This. 2 big fat fingers. And it's pretty obvious that somebody at this age is either touched in the head towards being mentally deranged, or he's on drugs. Or maybe he needs to be on drugs. I don't know. I just know this, that I have not come back to 291 Thompson Road in the name of the St. Dale's Recovery, in the name of the founding of the Windmill Ministries missions, to come back here to be abused, to be neglected, to be taken advantage of, to be mocked, to be ridiculed, to be demonized, and to be socially torn apart from the inside out. That's the reason why that I am leaving and going to another area, and that's the reason why that I keep trying to give out advisory after advisory after advisory, that if God cannot heal this group of people that is doing this, He will bring more misery and distress into your lives, and basically He will kill you. And if you think that the 1811 or the 1812 earthquake was bad, you wait until the next one occurs, because it will intensify probably 3 to 4 fold, more so in damage than what the first one occurred. Keep in mind, whenever the first one occurred, they didn't have all these buildings like down in Memphis and St. Louis and all these bridges. And the countryside was not nearly as occupied as what it is now. And also keep in mind that whenever the 1811, 1812 earthquake hit, there was a large root structure in this area that helped to keep the ground together as it shook and rattled and as it breathed and as it moved and as it rolled, to where you don't have that today. So what the President of the United States just got through doing, I give him 2 thumbs up on, because he's recognizing 2 things towards taking care of those that took care of us, regardless of what war that they had to engage in. And also, he's recognizing the fact of a recovery shelter persona or atmosphere as far as the drug culture out there that has absolutely been devastating to our veterans, regardless of what branch that they may have been entangled in. That the drug culture hasn't just affected the ordinary civilian life out here, but it has affected our military life too as well. Once more, the people in the Hop-In Cydonia Beach Ridge area, here known as number 7, obviously, instead of them thinking that I'm the monster, David and I promoted the ideal that they was the monster, and we thought that we had substantial proof in backing up those findings in making these type of gestures, regardless whether it was the whites, regardless whether it was whoever or whatever family around in this area that was looking down upon to me during the time that we was going through what we was going through for the past 4 years. And of course we know that because of that toxic environment that was created, I personally believe helped to put my brother in an early grave, because not only was he dealing with the stress at work, towards working basically 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, working his finger to the bone, but he was also having to deal with the baggage of all the stress. I mean, we had people coming out here on our property that was vandalizing our property. We had people that was throwing eggs. We had people that was riding by that was constantly agitating and aggravating us. We was constantly making telephone calls to the sheriff's department, either David and I, and we was not getting an effective response from law enforcement in this county. We took this individual to court several different times. We even had people across the road that we felt like that was violating their own children because of the atmosphere that we was in. We contacted not only social services, but we contacted the child abuse center pertaining to this. We even let our attorney, Bruce Brown, know our motives towards how that we was scrutinizing these people across the road. And what did I get in return? I get charged with a federal charge towards stalking. So it's pretty obvious that there is a problem in this area. Once more, we think that it goes from river to river, starting at about 90 miles, and then it branches out to about 130 miles down on the southern tip from Memphis, Tennessee, all the way to basically Pickwick or Savannah. We think that there is an initial problem with this culture right here. And like I've told Mr. Coble, Mr. Derek Coble, that's the policeman up here in the town of Cydonia, I don't think I can help you. I think that you have gone to the point that you're doomed. I really do. And the only thing that's going to help you is the wrath of God that's going to have to bring more misery and anguish and pain and agony into your life before any of you are going to wake up towards understanding that the things that I've been trying to tell you was to help you and not to hurt you. these advisories that I've been giving out since 2005, since I stood back up for this ministry, beginning with Homeland Security up in Nashville, Tennessee, as far as stating a bloody road ahead. And I realized that maybe that wasn't the proper, elegant wording to use. Maybe I didn't go about it in a political form in the right way. But, you know, poor people has poor ways. And whenever you can't get Alamo Baptist Church or First Baptist Church in Sidonia or the Assembly of God Church or other independent churches around in the area, whenever you can't get them to support you and back you, that way you can properly get your message out to the general public in a proper way, then, you know, a poor man has poor ways, and I'm just doing the best that I can. Once more, I still continue to get judged. I continue to get demonized because of it. I continue to get ridiculed and condemned. I continue to be looked down upon and to be and this smear tactic, this assassination, character assassination, continues to keep building in various areas, regardless whether it be in Dyer, Rutherford, Dyersburg, Kenton, Tennessee, Obion, Troy, Union City, Martin, Dresden, Palmersville, Paris Landing. These infestations continue to keep boiling, but they're boiling in a negative type way, just like me speaking to my cousin, my distant cousin, up here in Union City at the Church of Christ Church, Jeff Jackson. His advice was, if you think that group of people that's in charge now pertaining to the Mike Wilson Association that's been in power for 33 years, wait until the next group, which is basically David Moore, that was the original one that charged me in 2005 with terrorism type threatening atmosphere that wound up getting Homeland Security that much more onto my rear end as far as the heat coming down up onto me, that he said, if you think that the group that was in power then are bad, wait until the group, if they get voted in this election, wait until they come in power, Juby. Wait until they come in power. In other words, he told me, he said, you basically are a marked man. You've been targeted. You have become a target. And my response was, why have I become a target for? I'm not running for public office. I'm not running for mayor, city mayor, county mayor, or this office or that office. Why have I become a target? Just because I'm standing up for the Lord Jesus Christ and I'm trying to bring attention to areas that I feel like or felt like that needed attention brought to? Once more, you can't liberate a group of people that don't feel like that they need to be liberated. We're talking about a group of people here that are unlike any other culture in any other part of America. You're dealing with a culture problem from river to river. And the Bible tells me that if you can't help them, if they won't listen to you, if they won't support you, to do this: wipe your hands or shake the dust off your feet and tally on. Move away from that group of people that's agitating and aggravating your life this way. For it will have been better for Sodom and Gomorrah than for that group of people that done you this way. The Bible is very, very clear towards stating the fact that if you so much as harm or hurt one of these little ones, that it would have been better that a millstone tied around to your neck and you cast into the ocean. So apparently these people have not understood yet the authenticity of the message that I am coming from my Heavenly Father to give to you as far as me being the messenger. Now, I'm so sorry that you don't like the message pertaining to the opening of the first seal and what follows after the opening of the second seal, the third seal, and the fourth seal. But I didn't write the book. I'm not responsible for how people respond or react to the message. All I'm responsible for is getting the message out. Once more, I want to thank you for your time and your energy, those that take a little bit of energy and time towards listening to my message, and good luck to all of us. And once more, shalom. See ya. Thank you. As I travel through this pilgrim land, there is a friend who walks with me. As I kneel in prayer, I hope to meet you there. Precious Jesus, hold my hand. As I kneel in prayer, I hope to meet you there. Precious Jesus, hold my hand.